Welcome, everybody, to Tammy Tuesday, the podcast of life, love, and purpose. So happy you're here today with us. I am super excited to share this amazing guest with you. She's a dear friend and a true hero of mine, Lorraine Tallman, who is the founder and creator, president, all things boss lady for Amanda Hope Rainbow Angels. Thank you so much for being here, Lorraine.
Oh, it's my pleasure. And it's a special day.
It is a special day. And I was telling Lorraine when I saw her today that it dawned on me a little late that I realized that it's a very special day because today is Amanda's birthday. She would be 24.
Yeah.
So Amanda is what Amanda Hope stands for. And I'm going to let Lorraine tell the story, but she's been through an incredible journey in her life and has built some amazing things and has created a lot of hope in the world. And that's why I'm just happy to have you here to share your story. So it's funny, I'll back up a little bit because you and I met, and I feel strongly about this. We've talked about this as friends. When we met, it was an instant like, oh, we're going to be friends.
Soul sister, there we go.
Yeah, exactly. Well, we met at one of your events, and this was years ago, and I'll never forget it. I was standing there with my husband, and she walks up, and friends were introducing us, and they're like, "This is Lorraine. This is her event." And I was like, "Well, hi." And then immediate friendship. We got together for coffee very shortly after and have been friends ever since. And I'm so grateful because you are just such an amazing human and have such a great soul. And I'm just grateful to know you.
Well, I think Amanda brings whoever I need in my life and, that friendship and love and support. And, we're both blessed because not all women have that or sometimes not even open to it. But when you can find that sister relationship where that person has your back, it's a beautiful gift.
It really is. That's very, very true. So let's start a little bit because I want to convey the story a little bit to our listeners about how Amanda Hope started and what it's all about and the traumas and tough times that you went through to get to where you are today, because there's been a lot. So tell us a little bit about your journey.
So my journey started when Amanda was at the age of 9 and starting a new school and was coming home not feeling good. And I would bring her to the pediatrician and, new school, new kids, new stomach aches, new everything. But she wasn't really, truly not feeling good. And so I kept bringing her to the pediatrician. And by the third visit, I also have 2 other older daughters, Leah and Rachel. So my pediatrician knew me pretty well. And then I just said, I'm not leaving. Something is wrong. And that mama's gut, you really have to learn to trust it because it's usually right.
So you knew from the beginning that this was much more than what was being presented.
Yeah. I and they were like, well, maybe she's anemic, severely anemic. Cause she's 9 years old. She's getting migraines,
right.
Never had a headache in her life. And now she has migraines. It was
extreme.
And so, he said, well, let me prick her finger and see, what her hemoglobin is. And when he did, it was only 2.6. And for everyone out there, when we're in the hospital and it hits 8, we start giving you a blood transfusion. So 2.6 was a miracle that she was even holding her head up. So, and he didn't believe it. And I didn't know what that meant.
How about it? Oh, wow.
I had no idea. And so he tested her another finger, same thing, and then another finger, 3 pokes for a little girl.
Just to double check,
triple check that this was really 2.6. And then he said to me, well, we'll have to pull some blood. And, after your little girl has 3 pokes, all the moms out there can imagine what happened next. And so I had to hold her down. And they had to pull blood, and then the doctor sent us home, which is a shocker. They probably should have called an ambulance at 2.6.
Yeah.
And a couple hours later, they called me and said, Lorraine, we're really sorry, but we have a room down at PCH, and a friend of mine who's a doctor there is waiting for you in the emergency room, and your daughter has leukemia. And
those are horrible things to hear.
you don't
Shock.
even believe it. You're
No.
like, that not possible. Like, because you're thinking, how do they get, you just don't even imagine when you hear about cancer. I mean, my dad had cancer. My stepmom had, older people had cancer, but not little girls.
Right. And not your little girl.
And not my little girl.
Yeah.
Because, I've always been somewhat of a health nut, I'm like breastfeed, organic food, I'm just one of those, and still am, but
Yeah.
I'm pretty health conscious. So it was just like, oh, how could this be?
Right.
And so we went down to the hospital and called my husband, and that was, Amanda
beginning.
crying all the way. Don't let him poke me, Mama. Don't let him hurt me. Promise me they won't hurt me. And this is the darkest journey of your life, and all hell is now released. So trying to comfort her and keep her calm and reach my husband to meet us at the hospital. It was, one.
Yeah.
And then I have two other little girls at home, like
Right.
trying to get care for them. And
so
it's just craziness.
When that news hit you and you learned and heard that horrible word, how did you handle Amanda? What did you say to Amanda?
I just said, baby girl, your blood is really sick, and we're gonna get it fixed. We're gonna fight hard, and we're gonna beat this thing.
Yeah.
It's we, even when they were little and competitive, and she'd play the piano, or it was like we always, or play soccer or whatever. It was always like we never give up. If we sign up, we do it.
Yeah.
And
this is no exception.
And this is no exception. You commit yourself to a team or a sport or whatever it was. My children knew you made a commitment, you kept it. And so it would kind of helped, like, okay,
that's interesting. Yeah.
We're here and we're going to beat this.
We're doing it.
We're doing it. And we're not giving up. We're here for the fight. And so it was kind of a good thing that she had that. Understood that.
That's how Mama works.
This is how Mama works. I'm going to, kick this cancer's butt from one end of the world to another.
When you learned this, when you were in the hospital, did you get, because there's so many things must flood in when you learn this about your child, questions and concerns and wanting to get answers and what's the next thing and hurry, right? Urgency.
Very urgent. And then you're like, well, then we had to figure out what kind of leukemia. I mean, they were all different. There's different kinds of leukemia, and it's, and the doctors are, I loved when the doctor said to me, well, it's the best kind of cancer. It's, curable.
Yeah. You're like, excuse me?
Excuse me. I'm, little did I know that I was going to spend the next 3 years of my life in the hospital. The first 2 years, majority of the time, was in the hospital.
Yeah.
So, and, there's touch and go. There's nights where, you're back. She's had a seizure. We're in ICU. We don't know what's going on. Another reaction to the drug. And unfortunately, with leukemia for children, they use the same drugs from 1950 and 1970. Even today, in 2024,
mind blow.
It's mind blowing that we,
haven't come any
closer. And I mean, now I know, but back then I didn't know that pediatric cancer was the number one disease that kills children in America. And here we are. That was 2009. Here we are, 2024. It's still the number one disease that kills children in America.
Yeah,
so
crazy.
You're grasping for information, and then you're seeing side effects.
Right.
Like, okay, we're killing this cancer, but we just knocked out her kidney. There's just
so many things that come into play.
So many things that hit you. And then the finance.
Oh, yeah.
That's real.
That's real.
Fighting cancer is expensive. And then, we were I worked, my husband worked.
Mm-hmm.
There's no way I can work now.
I was going to say, so what did you do? What was the path forward as a family?
Yeah. So I left work, and, we had a home that took 2 incomes to support, and 3 little girls that had sports and everything and life. And slowly those things had to come to a halt because, well, for one, the money was going away, and two, how do you get them there?
Right.
And, there's just, and then three, everyone in your community wraps around you in the beginning, but then, in all honesty,
go back to life.
They have to go back. They have children that go to soccer and volleyball and sing and go into school plays. And
right. And then you're on your own.
And then you're on your own. So
that's a very real thing.
It's a real thing, and it's a very lonely thing.
I'm sure.
Yeah. And then, as a parent, you get into these financial situations as further along it goes, is that you're almost embarrassed that you're not providing for your family. You're like,
all the guilt of every angle.
Like, what did I do to cause this cancer? And then they're like, no, it's not genetic. It's not. Well, it's environmental. You're going through all these things where you woulda, coulda, shoulda.
Right.
And then you're spending money left and right. And then you're breaking into your 401. And, and then for us, it was the perfect storm because for every Arizonan here who was here 2009 and 10 when the market dropped, and then my husband lost his job with every other banker in Arizona.
Right.
There was 10,000 finance people that lost their job that Christmas. And so it was...
You were hit from every angle.
We were hit from every angle, and our home was worth 60% less than what we paid for it. And so it was just like...
You were hit really hard.
You couldn't turn... It was just like... you flinch. It was like, people would walk through the door and you'd be like, oh, what now?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Constantly waiting for the next bad hit.
Mm-hmm. Yes. And then you're dealing with, depression.
Yeah.
And your siblings and your grandparents. And then even your friends all have opinions on...
Right. On how you're doing it.
And how you're doing it. And, well, did you give them that beet juice that I read about that cures cancer?
You're hearing it from everybody, and you're like,
from every angle. And it's hard.
Yeah.
It's really, really hard.
How in that time, how did your marriage handle it at the time? That's a tough one.
It's a really tough one. And I mean, it can be up to an 83% divorce rate.
That's why I asked the question. That's
children.
A real thing.
And why I help marriages today. But back then, I was extraordinarily blessed to have this amazing husband. It was a blessing. It was a curse because he would come down to the hospital at 10:30 at night and bring date night. A blanket,
pressure,
craft of coffee / wine,
something,
and so, we would have date nights here and there, which was very helpful. And, he just adored me. Yeah. Marty absolutely adored me. So I was one of the lucky ones that had
the right support. You were the right pair.
We were the right pair, and he could make me laugh like no other. And so even in the hardest of times, he would somehow get me to laugh, and which was medicine to my soul.
Yeah.
So it was, and he would, literally put his hand on my heart and pray for me, and just...
Oh, that's beautiful.
It was beautiful. And so I was so blessed. But on the backside of that, he kept everything in. And he didn't want to ask for help. And he, and he even borrowed money to help pay things and that I didn't know about, from
to
his
try
parents.
to just provide.
Just to provide. I mean, he's unemployed.
Yeah.
And we all know what.
Talk about pressure.
Oh, yeah.
Tremendous pressure. Oh my gosh.
Very hard on him.
That makes sense because we're going to unpack that a little later too when we talk about him. But so as you move through this process, and this is what has helped you step into, I have goosebumps, what you do today. And when you were with Amanda, you learned so much. Tell me what you learned from her about this situation, about real things that are happening. Talk about that.
She, honestly, and I've shared this with you, sometimes I feel like I gave birth to an angel, and she came just to teach me lessons about life, what's important, where to keep my heart, what to keep my mind focused on.
Right.
Because she did.
Yeah.
And, we couldn't even come home from a chemo treatment. And if she saw There was this one young girl that would be on the side of the road. She would not eat her lunch to feed this young girl off the 51 in Glendale. And so she just saw things and always saw things. And even in the hospital, she would overhear people losing their homes or, not paying their rent or like she was very intuitive. I mean, it was
clearly
crazy
aware.
that her
She's very aware.
empathetic was like on steroids. Like she could sense. She even knew, she'd go, oh, she'd have surgery in the morning and go, no, Mom, I need to be in the playroom by 2:30. I'm like, you want me to carry you there?
Right. Yeah.
No. I need to see if, so-and-so is okay and da-da-da is okay. And
wow.
And then there were days where she wanted to go check on another child and they would be gone,
How did she handle that?
Sob, crying, like.
Did it scare her or was it more just empathy?
No, it didn't scare her for whatever reason, but very empathetic. Just,
she could just feel the pain.
Just felt it. Yeah. Yeah, she could.
Wow.
And, when it got to be too much, she'd just pull those covers up over her head and get up into like a little cocoon and just like rock herself.
Yeah.
And then, pat her on the back. And in the beginning, there would be 2 children in the room because we didn't, have our own room when she was first diagnosed. And there'd be a single mom next to me and she'd have to go home at night. And so I would be comforting
2 children.
Wow. Yeah. It was, and your heart just bleeds. I mean, all these single moms that have a medically fragile child, cancer or any other, they have to leave.
Right.
I mean, they don't can afford childcare.
Right.
So Amanda saw it all. It was crazy.
Well, and you saw it all. I think you were seeing it for yourself, but you were also seeing it through her eyes, it sounds like, because she was really sensing everything around her in that place.
She was, yeah. And she would do fun things in the hospital. She actually started a thing where she made a little door handle because, they'd come around with coffee. And so she put a sign outside the door, please stop, my mama needs coffee.
Oh, still thinking of other people.
Yeah.
Wow.
So just things like
that's
that.
her. Yeah.
Yeah, totally her heart. So sweet.
So sweet. And just a huge heart. I mean, oh my gosh.
Yeah.
So as she progressed and time went on and you continued to battle, what tools did you pick up? Because you picked up a lot of knowledge and a lot of experience.
I did.
That helped you with what was going to be your mission. You just didn't know it at the time.
No, didn't know it at the time.
Talk about that though, because that's a huge part of who you are and what you do.
Huge part. Yeah. And so just learning different ways to keep her calm and to reassure her and to massage her and breathing and reading things to her. And music was a big, very calming thing for her. And sometimes she just, she's very famous for saying big hugs. That was her thing, big hugs. Mm-hmm. And she would just, cuddle in to me and just hold me tight. And sometimes she would pat me on the back, literally, so she never liked it when I was gone for long. And so sometimes her dad would be there and I would be there and like, I couldn't leave till 11 o'clock at night to go home and shower. And so a couple nights I would try to spend a little hours, at home. Mm-hmm. And the phone would be ringing by 4:35 a.m. When are you going to be back?
Yeah.
So, and she trusted me with all her medications. And
you were her advocate and she knew it.
I was her advocate. And there were certain drugs that would make her really, really ill. And I would make sure she was pre-drugged before she got that drug so that,
it's comfortable.
She wouldn't be in so much pain or throwing up. And we found out that she had certain allergies to not the drug, but the buffers. So back then, we're actually going through it right now. There's so much shortage of drugs, of chemo and, Zofran and things to keep her from throwing up. I mean, there were all these drug shortages back then, and we're going through it again now in America. But There were certain main drugs that she needed, but because we got it from a different pharmaceutical company, she would actually have an allergic reaction to the buffers that were in that drug.
Oh, geez.
So we really found out like, okay, she can't have that drug from this company.
Oh my gosh, it was that specific.
It was that specific because they were just coming in from every which way.
Right.
And even sometimes there was a purple pill that came in and she's like, I don't take purple pills.
Oh, you weren't there?
I was in the restroom.
Oh.
And I hear this shriek, Mama. And I come out and I'm like, what is going on? And the nurse is like, she needs to take this pill. I'm like, what is it? They told me the name. I don't know what that pill is. Go get the doctor.
Right.
I want to know.
Right.
What side effects am I looking at?
Yeah.
I need to know.
Yeah.
But lo and behold, it wasn't for her. It was for someone else. So it was a mistake.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah.
That happens.
It happens all the time.
That's what's unbelievable. And it's not that it's intentional.
No, of course not.
But mistakes are made, and they're major mistakes that's why being an advocate being a fighter for your child is so important. And that's one of the things. Well, I want to talk about a little bit when things started to come to an end for her, because this is a huge moment and pivotal time for you in your self-discovery, I think, and what you've shared with me. So as she started to lose her battle and things started to get worse for her, what was happening? How did that go? What did it look like? How did she handle it? How did you handle it? What did that look like?
So it was very difficult because we supposedly beat leukemia, and then one of the side effects of the same drug that they give today is another cancer. So she was diagnosed with a brain tumor for the second time. But the second time, she's 12 and she's a veteran. Like,
right.
You better know what you're talking about when you come in the room, and you had to know her name. You had to. Well,
let's tell that story about like the doctors that would come in and this is one of the things I love about her. She was a fiery one.
She was feisty, and she had her rules about how you would engage. Like, you couldn't just walk in like grand rounds would come in and go, well, this child presents as, and she'd go, my name's Amanda.
I'm a person.
I play soccer. I like it. Like, don't call me a disease. Don't say that,
this patient.
No, you have to know my name. I mean, there was even like pink neon signs, like, don't walk in this room unless.
I love that. She demanded her respect. Name. She demanded respect.
Absolutely.
She's a human and she wanted to be respected, especially given where she was at.
Oh, and then we had to have another brain surgery. And a surgeon came in that I didn't know, but he was going to do the surgery that day at 4:30, and he didn't know her name. And the battle began, because then he called her little girl. Well, that was a mistake.
Yeah.
And he said, no, I am going to cut your head open and da-da-da-da-da. And, I'm the specialist. This is what I do. And she jumped out of bed and she drank water and she goes, I'm not NPO anymore, which means you don't get to do your surgery at 4:30 because this is an 8-hour journey now.
And she did that specifically to send a message.
Yes.
You will respect me. You will know who I am. I'm not just another number to you.
Yeah, I'm not just another surgery for you. I'm not another notch on your belt buckle.
Right.
You will care for me. But
how did you handle that when she did that? What did you do?
I think they called the psych department. I was like, oh my God. There she's in her gown, she's dripping water. And I'm like, like, this is brain surgery here. This isn't, and I'm like, dear God. I'm like, Amanda, what are you doing? And she goes, that man doesn't care about me. He'll kill me. You can't touch me. It was like, she was adamant. And even,
as a parent, how do you handle that? What did you...
Oh, it caused all kinds of problems because we had to reschedule the surgery, but she was terrified of this person. So much so that her heart rate was off the chart. So we had to have an anesthesiologist that she knew come in to try to keep her calm. And then they actually allowed me in the OR to put her down because usually, you go 100, 99, 98. No, she got to 88. Like she was not
She was fighting this.
fighting. She wanted to make sure that that man wasn't in the room
While she was conscious.
We never told her that he was the one.
So she never even knew he was the one doing the surgery.
No, and
you had
so
to tell her that was someone else.
Oh, I had to, because she thought he was going to kill her.
Wow.
And
what do you think that was about?
Because he was just so disrespectful, and she fought back. So she thought he was now really mad at her.
Oh, so she was afraid.
She was afraid.
Yeah.
Very afraid.
Yeah.
So when I walked out of the OR and he was walking in, I was so mad at him. I said, I don't want your music playing. I don't want you talking to her. And then after the surgery, you send someone else in to see how she's doing. I don't ever want to see you again. And that was that.
Yeah.
But, it was just panic fear, where you can't move fear. That's how afraid she was of this person.
Well, and as a parent, you have to listen to that and respect that for her, because you're her advocate. So what a fine line to walk, Lorraine. As her caregiver and the one who loves her most and has her well-being only. That's your only intention, is her well-being.
Exactly.
But yet she's having this going on.
I still shake to this day from having that conversation.
Yeah. I just can't even imagine that. That's why I'm just trying to paint this picture, because, oh my gosh, that's big.
Yeah. You're like, is there any other surgeon in the room?
Yeah.
Can we find another specialist? So hopefully he
maybe he learned something
from that. I hope he did.
That's not up to you.
It's not up to me, though. No. That's another thing that you learn when you're fighting. What battles are yours and what you just have to surrender, because...
Yeah, that's huge.
You can't fight the hospital. You can't fight pharmaceutical companies. You have to surrender to certain rules, because here in Arizona, if you don't do what they tell you to do, they can take your child away. It's not like you have an alternative.
Well, that's another piece.
It's another well, no, you will do this, or, we can call CPS.
Wow.
So there's just a lot of pressure.
Yeah.
During the battle.
So as you went through all of these things and these events, and when it was time for her to leave and go and get her little butterfly wings and fly home, how was she?
That's the crazy part, because when they told me we had 2 weeks, and she actually lived for 3.5 months. So we had 3.5 glorious months to do all of her bucket list things that she had. The first one was to go to the Vatican.
I remember you telling me that.
Yeah.
I forgot about that.
So Vatican and a gondola ride.
Yeah.
And my sister worked for American Express at the time and raised the money so that we could go. And it was, literally, I was sending pictures back to the doctors, and they were like, oh my God, she looks amazing. Like, we went in a wheelchair, and I had a luggage full of narcotics and IVs, medicines, and everything you need. And she was getting better. She actually stood up and walked into the doctor's appointment when we got home. Crazy.
Why did she choose the Vatican?
She always had, she always had faith in God.
Yeah.
Always.
Clearly, that's why I'm asking that question.
Yeah. And she had a special relationship with the youth pastor at our church.
Okay.
And she even made him cry because she had this, like one time we were at Camp Rainbow, and she got very sick, and we had to ambulance her back down here. And she wanted to go back to camp because all her friends were there. And so the pastor came by and to see her, and he said, what do you want? She goes, well, you can pray for me, but I'm going back to camp on Friday.
Wow.
And she did. And we had to drive her back up.
She was tenacious, man. I'll say that.
She was. And then another time, there was another camp that he was involved in. And she said, oh, I'm going. And we're talking, she was sick, like no blood cells, no white blood cells at all. Sure enough, she made it on the last day, and it blew his mind. So there's a few times where her tenacity and her faith and her strength blew him away.
I'm sure.
Because he's like, I've never seen that before. So it's just the way that she came across.
Mm-hmm.
Like, oh no, I'm doing that.
Yeah.
Like, don't tell her no.
Right.
When she felt that that was what she was supposed to do.
Right.
So even at the end of life, she was like, Mama, don't stop. I'm not doing any more chemo. It's, you know what? God's going to heal me or I'm going to heaven. And I'm good with it. And
wow. And she was how old?
12.
12.
And the crazy thing about it was the pastor, who didn't know that she died till later, at that afternoon, he had a vision of all these stars in the room and him with me laying on top of Amanda, to which I was for her very last breath. I was literally like a plank over her, talking to her.
Wow.
And he had a vision of, you know, Jesus coming down and the whole room opening up with all these stars and all these, like a sea of people.
Wow.
And he pulled her from underneath me and they danced and her hair grew and they went up. Now, he has never been in the room where Amanda had passed away, which is, you know, at the Ryan house. And it was the Galaxy room. The room was filled with stars. All of our family had flown in from all over, New York, Michigan, California, you know,
right.
New Mexico. There were, I don't know, 40, 50 people there. So when he had this vision of a sea of people, you know, he could just see these faces that were surrounding. And
that's incredible.
It was incredible. And not only was it incredible, she passed away at 11:29 in the morning. My birthday is 11:29. Her, she had a favorite scripture. I have a hope, a plan, and a future, which was Jeremiah 29:11. So everything was 11:29. And now even today, when I'm having a hard time, all of a sudden I look over and my phone lights up and it's 11:29.
Of course it is.
Or if I'm, like one time I was in a mall and I was stressed out, I just went there to like stress walk. And I walked by the number on the store. It said 11:29. So it's just
constantly sending messages. Yeah.
She constantly sends me messages that, hey, I'm here. It's okay. Just, you know, someday you'll be here and it'll be a blink of an eye and you'll be here.
Yeah, exactly.
Because I truly believe they don't have day and night in the next realm.
Mm-mm. No.
They just are.
Exactly.
Here,
we see it differently.
We see it differently. We have day and night. We have things, because we don't see the beauty beyond.
Yeah.
And she does.
Yeah.
And she always did.
That's what I'm saying. That's what I feel like too. I think she definitely always did. Plus she was a child. I think it's easier naturally for children to be more aware of where they come from and what really is work.
I've been through a number of end of life with children, and my husband, his dad, a lot. And the peace that I've seen at that last breath always blows me away.
Yeah.
It's like, whew, and then that's it. And the children are not fearful.
No.
Whatever they see.
Because they're greeted and welcomed in their home.
Yeah. And that part always blows me away.
Yeah, I bet.
People are like, oh, how can you be there?
It's so hard to understand as these people here. Yeah. It's hard for us to understand that, but you've seen it enough to know and trust it.
I do trust it. And I know that they are going.
And it's okay.
To be in a very peaceful, loving place until their family gets there. Exactly. And their family will get there.
Yeah.
It just may not be tomorrow.
So before she left, she made you promise her something.
Mm-hmm.
So what did she make you promise her?
She used my own words against me. She's like, Mama, look at me with both eyes. Are you listening? Both ears? I need you to promise me you're going to help every child. Because not everyone has a mama like you. So promise me you're going to do everything we talked about.
Ooh.
Yeah. And
those are big words.
And even to the very end, I never believed she was going to die. Not for a second. And I'm like, no, we're going to do this together. No.
You weren't giving up.
No, I never did.
Mm-mm.
I mean, I know it sounds crazy, But I thought, well, she can come back from the dead. Other people have come back from the dead. Why can't my daughter come back from the dead?
Yeah.
I literally believe
because
that.
you start thinking anything's possible.
Anything's possible. And, we literally held her hand and lied with her for almost 6 hours after. Her sisters didn't want to let go. I mean, it was,
So she said that at the very end.
At the very end, yeah. Yeah, the last, right before she, the last few days I had with her, she was holding my hand and making me promise that I was going to do everything she wanted me to do.
So fast forward, what came next?
So that comfy cozy for chemo apparel that she wanted, because, at 12, when they lift her shirt up and her body would be exposed in a chemo room.
And she's a little girl.
She was not having it. And same thing with knowing her name. You couldn't touch her body unless she gave you permission.
Right.
Like you can just.
She respected herself.
Yeah. You don't just lift my shirt.
Right.
You ask permission and I'll lift my shirt.
Right.
So that part was, she was adamant.
Yeah.
And to the point, like she threw some huge tantrums.
Yeah.
Don't touch me.
Yeah.
And she had every right.
Right. She did. It is her body.
It's her body. And, you can say, Amanda, open your eyes, sweetheart. We got to check your lines, things like that.
Yeah.
Now, of course, that did happen over time, but it was only because she was so angry.
She demanded it.
Yeah.
She demanded it.
Yeah. 100%.
So but that's what spun into the start of what now has been created, which there's so much more to it than what that was originally, but it was the creation of these shirts that were comfy, cozy shirts where you had a flap for these children to wear. So they had some dignity.
Absolutely.
When their ports were open so they could get to them without having to totally expose themselves.
Yeah, no, it literally opens wherever their port or their Broviac, their feeding tubes, has little hidden pockets on the inside. So it's quite remarkable that she had a dream of peekaboo compartments.
That's what she called it?
Yeah. Yeah, we know, just a little peek, like little peekaboo compartments. So I that's where I came up with the name Comfy Cozies for Chemo. So
yeah. So you produced these shirts and it took a whole, it's gone so much further than that. That was just the beginning.
That was just
so how did that just, you don't have to go through the whole long story, but how did you form Amanda Hope? How did you see it? How did you receive that to know this is what it was and that this is what was intended for? Because you did not waste this opportunity.
No, I was immediately after she passed away, I was on
a mission.
I was on a mission. I will create these clothes. I will get them to every child. And I started, I had owned my own business I call it my past life.
Right.
But so I knew all about
business,
and product development, how to reach out. And so I was from the East Coast. So I was reaching out to textile people I knew on the East Coast and they had, and then here. And so I was connected with a charity here called Dresses for Orphans in Mesa. Darlene went over the design, and her church has like 35 women that sew. And so I went to them with the design and go, let's do this. Let's do this. And so they made my first 600 comfy cozies. So literally Amanda passed away March 30th. Christmas, we helped our first 500 children.
That's amazing.
Which is remarkable.
Oh my gosh, that's amazing.
Yeah. And talk about a full circle of love. I just have to throw this in there, so Dresses for Orphans had helped me then. And then several years later, I heard of 5 Hour Energy giving $50,000 to women that make extraordinary difference in America. Someone had nominated me and I won. And then they asked me, who would you, and I nominated Darlene. And then she won the $50,000 as well. So,
oh my gosh.
Yeah. Like this is all.
Oh, wow.
Within a year later. And
that's powerful.
It was very powerful. And I'm like, go, Amanda. She's like, oh, Mom,
she's at the helm of all of it.
Yeah. I'll find you money. Mama.
Well, you've always said that about Amanda with what you're doing and this nonprofit that you've built, that you're helping families globally at this point. And you always have said, Amanda's she's the one in charge. when we need something. If she provides, she's there. She makes it happen. And she does.
She does. It's quite miraculous. I'm like, I can just see her because she's so feisty going into the throne room of heaven going, excuse me. Because she'd say that all the time when people weren't listening. Excuse me. I'm sharing.
I love it.
Yeah. So I can just see her going up to God, pulling this little,
excuse me.
If he has a, excuse me, hello, I'm talking to you.
I love it.
So I have that visual, so there's times, even when we're having a big event at the Amanda Hope Center and it's cloudy and I go, Amanda, get rid of those clouds. Sure
she
enough.
Does.
But it's like within 2 hours, it just opens up right over the center. It's just, I could tell 1,000 crazy stories.
I know you can.
But she's a pistol. I mean, she was here and she's more so.
Oh, she's here now. She's leaving her mark.
Yeah,
for sure.
I call her, my angel on steroids because she's just like bigger than life.
She is bigger than life. So butterflies.
Yeah.
Talk about butterflies and why that's such an important piece of this.
So several things, but whenever she would see a butterfly, she'd always say, Mama, there's a miracle in the air. And so, and then my husband Marty and I, when I wasn't sure if I should marry him, and I was like, God, just send me a butterfly if he's the one.
You used to say that?
Yeah.
Oh my gosh.
And so I got a butterfly. And so it's kind of been this thing, but every time Amanda, be playing soccer or whatever, she'd go, Ma, look. There's a butterfly. There's a miracle in the air. And I'd be like, yeah.
I love that. And a miracle in the air.
Yeah.
Wow.
So it was like, to her, it was a sign that something wonderful is happening somewhere in the world.
She was little to say that.
Yeah. Oh yeah. Little. Mm-hmm.
Because she knew.
She knew.
So miracle. Now butterflies obviously are a huge part of you. You get butterflies all the time.
I get butterflies. I mean, even when they're impossible to be there.
Mm-hmm. They show up.
They show up. Yeah. So when they're not even in season,
right?
They'll show up. So she's, it is. But going through all that and dealing with the mental duress for the whole family.
Yeah, it's a family crisis.
It's a family crisis. And so my other two daughters, Leah and Rachel, they suffered enormously. Mm-hmm. It's so hard to watch someone you love in pain and suffer.
Yeah.
And especially, when they go on steroids, the Tasmanian devil.
Yeah.
Like they do things and say things that are not even their personality. Yeah. When I'm working with moms now and I warn them, oh, okay, when they start this,
just know it's not them.
Just know you have to have about 5,000 calories in the room at all times. They will devour them.
Yeah.
And their temper. And I never knew that about steroids. And, sometimes even now, because my other two daughters know about it, we'll hear of an athlete losing their temper and, hurting their wives. And I'll say to them, he's on steroids.
Yeah.
Because it is an evil drug that just produces rage.
Yeah.
So, when you're seeing your little tiny precious thing scream, I hate you.
Yeah.
You're like, hey, this isn't my child.
Yeah.
But, so we really coach.
You learned a lot. Oh. Well, that's the thing. That's what spun you into helping families. So it went so much further from the shirts.
Oh, yeah.
And you did this together because I want to talk about Marty too.
Mm-hmm.
Because this happened after Amanda Hope was started, and he was a part of starting that.
Yeah.
So talk about the journey of that and how he was involved and what it turned into, and then what happened to him.
So he was very involved, starting the nonprofit, working on the board. I mean, both of us. I mean, our whole house was comfy cozies. Kitchen, living room, dining room. I mean, our whole home.
It was a family affair.
It was a family affair, making care kits, things like that. But it was also really hard on him. Just starting a nonprofit is a lot of work.
Oh, yeah. People that don't know what goes into that, oh my gosh.
Yeah.
It's a lot of work.
So he's working his job to provide for us because I'm not ready to go back to work.
Right.
I want this
going. You're on a mission.
And so I'm not working. I'm creating programs and Paraline and things like that. So, he had to work. Plus he came home from work, and then we did Amanda Hope and Comfy Cozies.
Yeah.
So
nonstop.
And so
it was exhausting and stressful.
Oh God. Yeah. But what I didn't know was, during the time when Amanda was fighting, he would get these ulcers and he'd have them cauterized.
Mm-hmm.
No one ever told us that all that scar tissue could turn into cancer.
That's what happened?
Yeah. Mm-hmm. So we thought he was better and doing well. He never really shared, what
His own stuff.
And, even today we work with dads to have a moment. And so all that worry and, and the financial stress. And then, we're starting a nonprofit.
Yeah.
And even though people are donating, it doesn't even come close.
No.
To doing everything that you need to do. So he ended up getting stomach cancer. And
how long was that after Amanda was gone?
It was a few years. Yeah.
Okay.
So it was just that constant stress. So, and even though he had gotten that all cauterized, I didn't realize that, he didn't share with me that the stomach aches were coming back and things like that. Until one day he goes, Lorraine, I just have to go see the doctor. I'm like, what? And he went and...
so he had an inkling something was really wrong.
Yeah, it was like, I'm going to have these cauterized again. I don't,
Something's not right.
Something's not right. And so he went and we thought, oh, well, I guess he's going to go in and get them cauterized again.
Right.
And he came back and the doctor said, no, you have cancer. It's not. So then we started the battle.
How did you like?
You don't even believe it.
This
You're like, there's no way.
You're just like, wait a minute, what?
Yeah, because I went through it with Amanda twice. I went through it with my dad. I had girlfriends that fought breast cancer. Some made it, some didn't. It was just like everywhere I turned around, it was
everywhere.
It was everywhere. And then my husband.
And then I'm Marty. So,
and he, I'm like, this is a big teddy bear.
Yeah.
How the heck does, you talk about feeling that life's just kicking your ass.
Yeah.
I'm like, oh, what is...
You're like, come on.
Give me a break.
Yes.
And even then I thought...
Were you mad?
I was furious. Like,
You'd have to be so pissed.
No, I would walk, across in parks or wherever. I would go for walks and all I would do is scream and swear.
Yeah.
I'm trying to help. I'm trying
why is this happening?
Why is this happening to me? What on earth, what good can come from this?
Were you getting anything from Amanda then?
I think she was just trying to give me hugs because I was livid.
Yeah.
Livid. And I still had a charity to run.
Right. You're probably so livid that it was blinding you.
Oh, yeah.
Because you were surviving.
Yeah.
Trying to just survive.
No, and I drank a lot of wine.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I bet.
Yeah. It was, I used to say, thank God for red wine.
Well, I know you said that is safe to say.
There, I think everything...
It could have taken a bad turn, but it didn't.
Everything is made for a purpose.
Right.
It's for the good.
Right.
It's just humans take everything to an extreme or to a bad. They just can't do anything in moderation. But anyway, but it was hard. And thank God I had, could get the counseling that and I still need it.
At that point, were you already providing that or were you not even near that yet? You were already providing counseling for families and you were already down that road.
We started that.
So you knew what was needed for yourself.
Yeah. And my daughters.
And your daughters,
everyone.
yeah.
And so counseling was always in, we're doing this. We're doing financial aid. We're paying, making sure groceries, gas. I mean, it got to the point where I'd only eat Amanda's leftovers in the hospital.
Yeah.
Because I couldn't go to the cafeteria every day.
Yeah.
And so that's why we provide all the gift cards every week at the hospital so moms can eat. Because they won't. Moms will.
Yeah, I know.
Give
self-sacrifice. Yeah. They sacrifice their entire selves.
Everything. Mind, soul, body, spirit they'll give up if they're helping their child.
Yeah. So how long did he have? How long did he battle this for?
Only 9 months.
It was quick.
It was quick. Yeah, and we tried. The only clinical trial that was happening was in Japan. Otherwise here he had 350 hours of chemo.
Wow.
We just like an atomic bomb.
Yeah, because it was aggressive, clearly.
It was very aggressive.
And it was very advanced.
Mm-hmm. And, even the sound triggered me because he would be home having chemo and you'd hear that machine going click, 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 click.
Oh.
And you're like, because he would have to have 72 hours of chemo at a time.
Oh my gosh.
And then a break. And then, 5 days later, we'd do it again. So, but it was the only thing the doctors had.
Yeah.
There was nothing else that they knew of.
So, wow.
Yeah, it was hard.
I mean, seriously, you've told me so much of this, and it's like when I hear it, it's just like, oh, I just cannot imagine.
You are walking through your nightmare. Like you don't have to worry about closing your eyes, waking up, being in a nightmare. You are walking it.
Well, okay, talk about that for a second, because you've got 2 little girls still.
Mm-hmm.
It's not just you. Like you're having to survive this, and you're also having to still be a mother and just figure this whole thing out. So how did you, I know you just do it, everybody says, but how do you do it?
You do it. And then I was reaching out to therapists to help my daughters. And, not every therapist jives with people.
Right.
So,
yeah.
And I didn't.
That's trial and error.
And I didn't even have the energy to, try this one, try that
Shop.
one. At that time. I have since then. But, even, my middle daughter still, I'll be like, it's time for you to go back. Like,
yeah.
But, to lose 2 people that you absolutely adore and love.
And they're part of your everyday world.
And they're part of your everyday world. And then, they're the ones that when something's going wrong, you can call. And then you can no longer call them.
Yeah.
It just takes your wind out. So I think, even to this day, Leah and myself and Rachel, we still struggle. There's still times where, your breath is taken away. Recovery is more purposeful now because now, I know the symptoms. I know when I'm going in, when
it's
coming. When I'm going to go into my own cocoon, where I've had too much and I've seen too much. And I'll literally say, Mom's going in her cocoon. I'll see you in 3 or 4 days. And I go home. I don't talk to anyone. I don't watch TV. Mm-hmm. I read books. I listen to podcasts. Like it's all about me. Mm-hmm. And I don't even want to be social.
No.
Like I don't want to be nice.
Right. You just want to be alone.
I want to be alone, and I want to just build myself back up and just heal
let yourself,
and
heal.
Pull myself back together.
Right.
And that's the only way I can do what I do is that I have learned that, if I'm feeling trembling, either in my heart or literally down my arms, I'll be like, okay,
enough,
time to shut it down. And, I'll clear my calendar. I'll be like, ooh,
time to,
nope. And if I have appointments, I'll text people and go, I'm sorry, but we need to reschedule. Right. I'm not feeling my best.
Yeah.
And, people are gracious. They don't care.
Of course.
They care, but they're going to be like, oh, sure, when? So.
Well, it's great that you recognize that and know that that's what you need, because doing the work that you do today, you are in the trenches with these families, mm-hmm. and you are witnessing what you lived like every day, and you're seeing it and reliving it and watching these people have these, I'm covered in goosebumps, have these experiences and these traumas and this pain and having to fight all the stuff that you lived, not just once, but twice. And you're able to it's incredible, Lorraine, what you do. It's incredible.
It's a miracle. I remember when we started all the holistic care, on our 10-year anniversary when, we started the Reiki and the sound healing and the massage and all these other wonderful things. And we just started equestrian horse therapy
last beautiful.
Saturday. So we had
that.
30 kiddos out there so that's the new magic. But I literally stood in the doorway and cried. It was like everything on Amanda's bucket list. It took me 10 years.
Wow.
But we did it.
Yeah, you did.
We did it.
You must be so proud.
Yeah.
I mean, Lorraine, that's amazing.
It really is. It just like hit me because I always had felt like it's not good enough.
Oh.
Every day for, literally until that day when we had this whole wellness, I literally would beat myself up going, you're not helping enough. You haven't reached, you haven't. And we have touched the lives of thousands and thousands of children all over the world.
I know.
In 6 other countries. But
yeah,
I never felt that I did it, that I kept my promise.
Until that point
when I was like, like it just hit me like a flood. I remember opening the door and standing there and going, oh my God, we did it. We did it, And I've even had people walk into the center and go, like, see angels. Though, some people have the gift. I don't, but.
You said the world is crazy, and it is so interesting. Like I said, and incredible that you're able to do what you still do and walk this walk and are advocates and helpers of families as they do all this. You've also done some journeying of your own. And this is what is so beautiful about you, is that you know things and you understand what's needed for yourself. And you took a nice little hike.
I did.
Back in July of 2022, and just a little one, Mount Kilimanjaro. Talk about that, because that's a whole experience of just, wow.
Well, it started off as a dare. I had just had my 60th birthday and someone said, Lorraine,
At 60, you're like, oh.
And I'm not one to back down.
No, clearly not.
And I looked at her and I went, oh, you're on. I can do this. And then, the people that love me went, are you? You don't have to do this, Lorraine. And I go, oh, I said I was going to do it. You're
like, yes, I do.
I said yes, which means I'm committed, which means I'm doing it. If I said I'm doing it, I'm doing it. And so, we hiked. I trained for 7 months here, Squaw Peak and Flagstaff, Humphrey, so I did. I put in the work for 7 months.
Oh, I know you did.
And then I flew there and it was really incredible. For one, I went with K2 and we were able to work in a hospital and an orphanage and I got to play with children and teach them songs. So I was in my very happy place.
Oh,
because, I love children. I can just, adults I can pass, but children, bring them on.
Yeah.
That did. It's a bit, but anyway, so I hiked. It took me 5 days to get up and 2 days to come down. But on the third day, I was shaking, like my legs were shaking, and you go hike through the rainforest, and then you're in the cold, and then you're walking through the clouds. It was wild.
Yeah,
and I remember passing the clouds and going, this is where Amanda and Marty live, beyond the clouds.
Yeah.
And I'm walking. I have pictures of me walking on clouds. Like I'm on top and you can see them just like, it was magnificent. Surreal. It was the most magnificent, powerful, like, oh my God, look where I am, where I'm going, but my legs, and I sat down and, I'm like, oh, I need like protein, like let's get
fuel,
calories in me. And so my guide went to my backpack to, grab water and what I needed. And I was sitting there and all of a sudden a monarch butterfly comes and sits right next to me.
Of course.
And I have this on video, and she's
I remember when you showed me that.
just like, and the guides that were there with her were like, oh my God, we've never, they get the little white,
Yeah, they're like, where is this coming from? You're like, well, I know where it's coming from.
And they were all like, we've never seen a monarch at 13,000 feet. And I looked at them and I go, oh, well, that's my daughter. And they're like, what? And so I shared the butterfly story with them, and everyone was in tears.
Yeah, of course.
But I said, no, Amanda's with us. We are going to make it. We're going to summit.
That was it.
That was the sign. And sure enough, we summited. And then, so they all knew about Amanda, and we shared stories. And then we also went on a safari, a couple of days after we recovered from the hike. And same thing happened. That Victor, who was our guide, I'm like, Victor, I need to see lions. I had a dream of lions. Amanda's going to show me lions. And he goes, oh, Miss Lorraine, you're not going to see lions.
You're like, you want to bet?
And I said, no, we are. I've seen them. Amanda said I'm seeing them, and we're seeing them. And he's like, no, they're not here this time of year. And I go, oh, yes, we are. So literally 4 hours in, we stop, we have lunch, we're leaving. And I go, and I see this path, and we're driving, and I'm like, Victor, go down that road. I go, there's lions. He goes, oh, Miss Lorraine, I don't have a license for that road. And I'm thinking, well, I'll buy you a license.
I'm like, I got you covered.
I got you covered. Drive down the road. Hey, what's the license? $50?
Yeah.
I don't know.
It's fine.
I got that. Let's go. And he's like, oh no, I provide for my family. I can't.
Yeah.
And it's very serious.
Yeah,
it's a big deal. And so I backed off, and I'm like, all right. And we're driving. And I don't know, 10, 15 minutes later, a butterfly came into the Jeep, and the ladies saw it before me. And because I'm looking for lions,
right.
And the butterfly comes around, and they're like, Lorraine, there's a butterfly in the van. And I look at Victor and I go, Victor, the lions are coming.
I love it.
And the butterfly went right up to him. And then the women have video of this, and I have it now too. But the butterfly went out, and we turned the corner, and there were 2 lions sitting there. The butterflies went to the lions, circled the lions, and came back to me. And I looked at him and I went, never doubt the power of a butterfly.
Oh my gosh. That's amazing.
And the whole place was just like, oh my God, because they had experienced 2 very significant butterfly stories in 1 week. And so,
the thing, how could you not believe that that's what's going on here? I mean, you just can't.
You cannot not.
No.
And thank God I have video of it, because I don't think a lot of people, when I came back here, would believe me if I couldn't show them.
Well, I remember when I was texting with you, like, I cannot wait to tell you what happened. I can't wait to show you what happened. And it was just like, oh my gosh, that's so powerful. What a cool experience.
Yeah, it was beautiful. So,
wow.
Yeah. And that's what before then I went to Spain by myself, and you
traveled a lot.
Yeah. Well, it's crazy because when Marty and I were alive, everything went into the children, and then everything went into Amanda Hope, and we really didn't take time for ourselves.
Right.
And so that's one of my regrets, is if we'd only knew more about him and I having that self-care, and to take the time to be together alone instead of being together building, Amanda.
So, okay, that's a great question, and a segue for you, which I think is something that you are embracing now.
Yes.
I'm seeing it. I've just seen it evolve. Even in my relationship with you, I've seen it evolve more in self-care and self-love and giving back to you, because you can't serve anybody. Clearly, it doesn't work like that. You just can't serve anybody unless you're serving yourself and pouring back into yourself. So for people, for people that are, that have, gone through traumatic experiences, and, there's a lot of that in the world. A lot of it. And
everyone has a story.
Yeah, everybody. And when you feel like you could easily lose hope, and you really take everything into consideration and what's possible in your life, and what a difference you can make, and what a beautiful place this is that we live, and what's possible. it's just, what words of encouragement do you give to people that there is hope? I mean, you truly have hope. That's what you built this whole thing around, is hope.
Absolutely. And because now I look for the good. I look for the butterflies. I look for the song. I look for, a heart-shaped cloud in the sky. So I'm very aware of the signs. So I don't go through life in a hurry anymore. When I see something that reminds me of peace, joy, love, my family. I mean, my granddaughters laugh right now. I mean, that's heaven. So there's, vacations. I actually was in Israel before all this started. Lovely. I mean, just being around land, and America's such a baby country.
Talk about your trip, because that was another really cool experience you had. Talk about that a little bit.
Because I was standing in castles that were 6,000 years old, and and seeing how advanced society was, and also again, the faith that they had to build those cities, remarkable. And just again, we had another butterfly, incident there. I dropped my phone, and we were in Turkey, shattered it. And here we are in the middle, and I'm asking my guide, I still need to be able to connect with my children at home. Right. I need my phone.
Yeah.
And so.
And you're far away.
Yeah. And so he, was texting and calling. And so he found this place. And so we take the bus there, right? And I had to give him my security code to get in the phone, and everyone's like, Lorraine,
be careful.
Be careful. They've got access to your phone now. And I literally said, no, I'm not going to worry. I'm going to trust that, God has arranged all this. Out of nowhere, this guy can fix my, it was just a lot of, we drove, just craziness.
Yeah. And people would be like, well, I don't know about this.
Yeah. And so everyone was, and then, you have to pay him cash. But we go to get back in the bus, and the clock on the bus changed time to 11:29.
Of course it did.
And it stayed there for like 15 minutes. And everyone knew the story about 11:29.
Yeah.
That were on the bus with me. And they're all watching it. And again, I have video and pictures of this. That thing stayed at 11:29. We got out of the building. We're driving down the road. And I told everyone, that's my sign that they didn't steal anything from my phone, that they were fine. Sweet people doing me a favor, fixing my phone. My bank account's not going to be emptied. Like, that's it. That's my sign. And then as soon as we're up on the road and the sun starts shining in, it went to the right time. And everyone was just like going.
It's like you were in a time warp.
Oh, yeah. Unbelievable.
Wow.
But it's those kinds of things that I now recognize. I call them angel kisses.
Yeah.
That there's a power that is so beyond our existence. And, you just have to surrender that there's good and there's trust, and you have to be hopeful. And every day you have an opportunity to share your light. I have an opportunity, we can choose darkness, but we can also choose the light.
That's right.
And so, I can have sad moments, and I'm allowed. We all are, but we can also rejoice in the good. Because let's face it, you don't know happy unless you know sad.
That's true. Absolutely.
Yeah. And so, so I have tremendous joy in my life now, and my grandchildren now.
Ooh, I know. God. You have new beautiful gifts in your world.
Yeah. And they're just the light of my little world. I
know they are.
I can just hang with them and play, and just have to move mommy out of the picture so I can do what I want. But
spoil them the way you want.
Yeah. Those nanny cams, I don't like them.
Nanny cams, mommy cams, Grammy cams.
Grammy cams. You get a text, Mom, bedtime 7:30.
Oh my gosh.
Oh, I'm playing. Leave me alone.
Yeah. It puts
fun.
things into perspective too, especially when you become a grandparent. They say that it's just a whole new understanding of joy.
There's nothing like it.
Yeah. That's what everybody says.
Nothing like it. I can't even describe the overwhelming love and joy I feel when I'm holding one of my grandchildren. It's like, I've known love and I've known not, but I've known, and I've never experienced such love in my life.
Oh, what a gift.
And I've had amazing loves in my life.
Yeah.
And wow. That's when you feel this little soul.
Yeah.
And they love you.
Mm-hmm.
Like purely love you.
Yeah.
It's a beautiful gift.
That is a beautiful gift.
Mm.
That's a beautiful gift. I can't tell you how honored I am that you were able to be so open and share your story here, just raw. And I love you.
I love you too.
You're special to me. How can people help you and help support your organization? How can they find you?
So amandahope.org, whether you want to help volunteer, we receive between 100 and 130 new patients, little warriors, every month, brand new diagnosis. And they want the mindfulness kits and the comfy, cozy apparel and all of that beautiful gifts that we give every child for free. But we're always looking for sponsors. So we're looking for people that go, you know what? I'm going to sponsor one child a month. And so that's huge. We have as you know, we do one fundraiser a year and it's our gala. Yeah. So our night of hope.
And that sells out, people. And it's a fun night. It's a really fun, special, powerful night. I will say this because I've been in the nonprofit world for a while now with what I did in my previous business. And I have never been to an event in that space that had more love in a room than when I was at your events. It is all you feel is love. People are there for you.
Yes.
They are there. I have covered right now, goosebumps. They are there for you 100%. It feels so different than so many other events that I attend. And they're all great events, but this feels very different, very special.
It is very, very special because you can almost cut it with a knife, the love.
You can.
It's a powerful.
It's palpable in that room.
You can, if you need a big hug, you just need to be in the room because it's like the spirit of big hugs, which is Amanda's favorite thing, is there. And I've heard it 1,000 times.
Because it's real.
It's real. And we do sell out every year.
Yeah, you do.
And it's, so we're always looking for silent auction items to help support our children. I mean, we literally raise a third of our income that night.
Yeah.
It's a magical, beautiful, it's just precious night.
And they can sign. So if they sign up for the event, as long as it's not sold out, they can find that on the website.
Yeah. They can go amandahope.org/gala.
So if you're into that kind of environment, you will love it. So I highly, highly, highly recommend it. And anything you can do to support. There's so many families out there that will resonate with this message because it's very powerful and it affects so many families around the world. So again, thank you so much for being here. I'm grateful for you. I'm grateful to know you. You're just a hero of mine. I'm grateful.
I'm grateful for you. The sister love. Everyone needs we tell women all the time, get close to other women.
Yep. Yeah. I feel very blessed with the relationships that I have. And you are certainly one of those people that I'm just blessed to have in my life. Thank all of you for being here today. I hope this message resonates with you. If there's somebody that you know that needs to hear this or would benefit from this, please share it with them. It helps if you can subscribe, follow, like, comment, anything for these messages. It helps it raise to the top so the people that need them can get them. So we're grateful for your help on that. Also, you can get more information on TammyTuesday.com. There's a blog, there's an ebook, there's all kinds of things there too. You can also find us on social media at Tammy Tuesday Life, at Instagram and Facebook. So we look forward to seeing you there. Thank you so much for joining us. Always sending you with lots of love and light. And remember, life, love, and purpose, it all begins with you. Peace out.